All right, thank you guys. Welcome to our MLB video here today for Wednesday, April 21st. My name is Brock Page and I do sports picks for free right here on YouTube. Now we're 3-1 in our last 4 board member tier package picks on my Patreon website. We're also hitting at 60% in our last 15 board member tier package picks in that very same category. We currently have over 1,375 members who are signed up and active on that page. And if you want to see which one of these YouTube picks I'm actually betting on personally, link for that site is in the description section below. That's patreon.com/BrockPage. Now, we had a lot of earlier games here today. There is a little bit of a later slate, so we're going to break down those later games here today. And we're going to start with the Braves taking on the Yankees, 6:35 Eastern start time. The New York Yankees are minus $1.35, totals 8.5, juice to the over. Corey Kluber for the Yankees, Ian Anderson for Atlanta. Anderson struck out 19 batters in just over 15 innings of work. The Braves have also won 3 out of their last 5 ball games, and they rank in the top 5 in the majors in scoring. Ronald Acuna's hit 7 home runs thus far in the season, 16 ribbies and 55 total bases. He's also got an OPS of 1.373. Keep an eye on Acuna as he's currently battling some sort of abdominal injury. Meanwhile, Freddie Freeman, he's hit 5 homers himself, 10 ribbies, and 14 free passes for Freeman. Now, the Braves are taking on a Yankees club who lost 5 out of their last 6 ball games, and they still remain in last place in the AL East. New York's winning just 40% of their ball games at Yankee Stadium, and they currently rank in the bottom 3 in hits. Corey Kluber comes into today's start with a 6.10 ERA and a 2.23 whip. Now, total-wise, New York 70% to the under in the Bronx, 10-6 to the under for the entire season. Meanwhile, the Braves saw 60% of their road games stay under the line themselves. I'm going to lean toward the underdog Atlanta Braves plus $1.15 and the under 8.5. Next ball game, it is going to be Pirates versus the Tigers, 6:40 Eastern start time. The Detroit Tigers are minus $1.20, total 6, juice to the over. Turnbull for the Tigers. Keller is expected for Pittsburgh, although he is not confirmed yet. Now, the Pirates have won 6 out of their last 9 ball games. Their pitching staff is also fanning 10.2 batters per contest on the road. They're taking on a Detroit squad who's in the middle of a 4-game skid, just 3-7 straight up in their last 10. Now, the Tigers are also in the bottom 3 in scoring, and they're averaging double-digit strikeouts a game at the plate. Now, total-wise, 7 out of Detroit's last 9 ball games did get over the total of 6 runs. Meanwhile, Pittsburgh's last 10 straight contests failed to stay under the total of 6 runs themselves. I'm going to lean toward the underdog Pittsburgh Pirates plus 105 and the over 6 runs. Next ball game, D-backs, Reds, 6:40 Eastern first pitch. The Cincinnati Reds are minus 175, numbers 8, juice to the under. Tyler Mahle for the Reds, Merrill Kelly for the Diamondbacks. Now, Kelly's 1-2 with an 8.44 ERA and a 1.69 whip. The Diamondbacks have lost 7 of 11 on the road, and they rank dead last in the league in hits allowed per contest. Their pitching staff is also in the bottom 3 in runs allowed. They're taking on a Cincy team who's been dominant at the Great American Ballpark. They're 7-2 straight up as the home team, 6-3 against the run line in those contests. The Reds are currently leading the majors in scoring, and they're going to be led by Jesse Winker here today, who's batting .366 with 22 total bases. Joey Votto's also hit 3 home runs and knocked in 10. The Reds are currently leading the majors in home hits as well. They're averaging nearly 9 runs per contest at the Great American Ballpark as well. Now, total-wise, I'll tell you what, pretty good value in this number here, in my opinion. Since he's 7-2 to the over at home, 10-5 to the over for the entire season. Meanwhile, just 7 out of Arizona's last 10 failed to stay under the total of 8 runs as well. I think 8 runs is a pretty modest number here. I'm going to lean toward the Cincinnati Reds minus 1.5 and the over 8 runs. Next ball game, Blue Jays, Red Sox, 7:10 p.m. East. The Boston Red Sox are minus $1.35, totals 9.5. Garrett Richards for the Sox, Trent Thornton for Toronto. As good as Thornton's looked, the Blue Jays are in the middle of a 3-game skid, and they also lost 7 out of 11 road games. The Toronto pitching staff is in the bottom 3 in strikeouts. Toronto's also averaging just 3 runs per contest when they travel. They're taking on a Boston club who's on a 2-game winning streak, and they're also winning nearly 70% of their ball games. They're currently 12-6 straight up on the season, and I'll tell you this much, they've been absolutely pounding the baseball. Boston's currently leading the league in hits on average per contest, and they also find themselves in the top 3 in scoring. J.D. Martinez is batting .375 with 6 homers and 20 RBI. Martinez currently has an OPS of 1.194. Meanwhile, Xander Bogaerts hit his first homer of the year yesterday, but he certainly isn't lacking in the hit department. He's still batting .393 with 34 total bases. Boston is averaging nearly double-digit hits per contest at Fenway Park. Now, total-wise, 3 out of Boston's last 4 ball games did stay under the total of 9.5 runs. 7 out of their last 9 also stayed under that number. Meanwhile, the Blue Jays are 9-2 to the under in their road games themselves. I'm going to go ahead and lean toward the Boston Red Sox minus... Hey, keep it down. No, I'm just kidding. Boston Red Sox minus 135 in the under 9.5. How was school?
Good.
Who's in there?
It's Sam.
Hi. How are you?
Hi.
I'm just doing YouTube vids. No, you're good. I was just joking around. You guys can talk away. No big deal. All right, next matchup. Mets versus the Cubs, 7:40 Eastern start time. The New York Mets are minus 135, total 7.5. David Peterson for the Mets, Zach Davies for Chicago. Despite some control issues for Davies, the Cubs have won 2 out of their last 3 ball games, with one of those victories coming over the Mets yesterday. And speaking of the Mets, they're somehow scoring less than the Cubs. New York ranks dead last in the entire big leagues in scoring. They're putting just, what am I trying to say here? They're putting just 3.1 runners across the plate per game. Now, the Mets also have a losing road record, and they failed to cash in on the run line in 6 out of their last 7 road games as well. Now, total-wise, 8 out of New York's last 9 ball games stayed under the total of 7.5 runs. Meanwhile, 4 out of Chicago's last 6 stayed under that number themselves. The Cubs are officially 70% to the under at Wrigley Field. I'm going to lean toward the Chicago Cubs plus $1.15 and the under 7.5. And that, guys, with that, we're going to dive into our next and final matchup for the show. It is going to be Rays versus the Royals, 8:10 Eastern Standard Time. The Kansas City Royals are minus $1.10, totals 8 flat. Jake Junis for the Royals, Michael Wacha for Tampa Bay. Now, Michael Wacha comes into this contest with a bunch of strikeouts, but he does have a 4.20 ERA. The Rays pitching staff is in the bottom 10 in runs allowed on the road. They're also in the bottom 10 in hits allowed per contest as well. Meanwhile, the Rays hitters are averaging double-digit strikeouts at the plate per game. They're taking on a Royals club who's got a winning record at Kauffman Stadium this year. They won 5 out of their last 8 ball games, and they rank in the top 10 in home scoring. Salvador Perez has hit 5 home runs along with 11 RBI and 36 total bases. Meanwhile, Whit Merrifield's hitting .306 with 4 doubles and 12 RBI himself. Jake Junis has also looked real good on the bump thus far in the year. He's 1-0 with a 1.50 ERA and a .92 whip. Junis has also struck out 15 batters in just a dozen innings of work. Now, total-wise, the Rays are 8-3 to the over as the road team, 12-6 to the over for the entire season. I'm going to lean toward the Kansas City Royals minus $1.10 and the over 8 runs. And with that, guys, now is the time for our quick pick recap, powered to you by my Patreon website. I like Atlanta plus $1.15, under 8.5. Pittsburgh plus 105, over 6 runs. Cincinnati minus 1.5 over 8. Boston Red Sox minus 135 under 9.5. Chicago Cubs plus $1.15 under 7.5. Before I give you my next and final free pick for the video, one final reminder that we are 3-1 in our last 4 board member tier package picks on my Patreon website. We're also hitting at 60% in our last 15 board member tier package picks in that very same category. I'm going to lean toward the Kansas City Royals minus $1.10 in the over 8 runs. And with that, guys, that is going to do it for me. Don't forget to check me out on Patreon. If you guys decide to get a package here today, just keep in mind, Patreon's going to bill you the day you sign up and then the first of every month following that. But most importantly, guys, got to thank you for joining me right here on YouTube. Really hope you enjoyed all this great free content, all this great free information. And with that said, happy Wednesday to you. Happy hump day to you. And I look forward to seeing you later on today on my website at patreon.com/BrockPage.